Clearly, the energy of 2025 astrologically needs to be addressed. But if you want to live in fear and anxiety in 2025, this is not the video for you. Hola, beautiful souls. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. This is a safe space on the internet where we merge the cosmos with self-development using astrology, spirituality, and wellness to become our highest selves. If that sounds like something you're interested in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell before you leave so you don't miss future videos like this one. You can also follow me over on Instagram for more lifestyle content and fun astrology content, as well as updates in general. And you can also head to my website to find the services that I offer or sign up for my newsletter so you can stay even more up to date with me and get readings that not everybody gets on the current astrological energy. This video today is all about the 2025 astrological energy. I am only going to be touching base on some of the biggest points, in my opinion, some of the biggest transits that we need to watch for in 2025 that may have a general effect on the energy. If you know anything about me, I love to focus a lot more on the self-development portion of astrology, meaning we learn about our placements, we learn how to best utilize the placements that we were born with, etc. I'm not huge on transit watch just because keeping track of transits can be quite anxiety inducing. However, we do have some major energies going on in 2025 that I feel like I should touch on because the internet's getting a little out of hand when it comes to the astrological energies, and there's a lot of fear and anxiety surrounding 2025. So we're going to flip the narrative in this video, and I am going to talk about the transits from my perspective, my point of view, what I'm picking up on when it comes to these energies, and what you can expect for 2025. And if you enjoy this reading, you're going to want to stick around for my next video, because my next video will be all about how to use these transits, especially Pluto in Aquarius, which is the big hitter this year. It's going to be all about how to specifically use the energy to empower yourself and to make 2025 your, you know what. Let me briefly explain really quick why 2025 is going to be such a significant year for planetary transits. We have something called the outer planets. If you're not aware what the outer planets are the planets that have a very slow orbit time. So they take a very long time to move through constellations, meaning, for example, Pluto moving into Aquarius is a huge deal. Planets like Pluto take forever to change signs, to change zodiac signs. Because of that, their energy is usually felt on a collective level. Usually planets like Pluto are the planets that cause historical, life-changing, human-altering events to happen. So it's extremely significant whenever any of these outer planets move into a new constellation, because that effect is probably going to be felt on a humanitarian level, on a collective level, in many different ways, and they often change the trajectory of our lives over a long period of time. We have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all moving into new signs this year. That means all of the outer planets are moving into new signs starting in 2025 and finalizing themselves in 2026. That is so significant in so many ways. We're going to feel so much change on so many levels. We're about to witness so many exciting changes, not just on a collective level, but on a personal level. Because really, realistically, collective change happens on a personal level first. Everything is felt in a domino effect. It creates a ripple effect that affects everybody around us, everything that we do. So the personal transformation is going to be key at this time. This is not to fearmonger or make you feel more anxious. By the end of this video, I am hoping that you feel more empowered in your position to walk through 2025 unapologetically with your head held high, knowing the energy that's to come and knowing how to navigate it better because of that. First, we have Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Pluto officially moved into Aquarius in November 2024, and it will be stationed here until January 19th, 2044. To save us time on this video and to jump into the meat, I'm not going to talk much about Pluto in Aquarius because, again, I did address Pluto in Aquarius more in depth in my video last year about Pluto in Aquarius and what I think is going to happen with this energy overall. So if you want to go watch that video, be sure to click on the link that I provide up above and you can go watch that and then come back to this video. Again, I will also be releasing another supplemental video next week about how to use Pluto in Aquarius and the 2025 transits to empower yourself in 2025 to become your best self. So again, watch that video wherever it's linked, and then stay tuned for the next upcoming video if you want to know more about this transit. But the overall theme that I can say is definitely technological transformation and societal innovation, especially on a humanitarian level. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. It is the planet that rules Scorpio. So when you think of Scorpio, you think of the themes of the phoenix, which is rising from the ashes of death, correct? And becoming your best self. So you can think of the energy of Pluto as the same energy, essentially. That energy of deep, dark, transformation, often that comes from diving into your shadows and diving into some type of spiritual death of some sort and not fearing it either, jumping headfirst into death. And when it comes to Aquarius, we have the sign that is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. And Uranus is the planet of rebellion and innovation, which is the primary ruler for Aquarius. So when you have the planet of death and rebirth moving, well, it's already officially moved into, but moving into the sign of rebellion and innovation, you're going to see a lot of change happen on a humanitarian level because Aquarius is the water bearer. They are the ones who usually have an ethical reason for their motivations. They usually want to somehow improve the way that we work as humans for the environment, improve conditions for other humans. They want to somehow better things by doing things no one has done before. Aquarius is more connected to like higher technology, technological advancements. When we think of Aquarius, we often think of the aliens of society. So you can kind of think of them as like the innovative aliens, the ones that are going to invent something that is totally new, that has never been seen before, and they might be called weird or eccentric for it, but it's going to end up becoming the norm. With that, we're going to see a lot of outdated structures fall. We have already started to see some of the rebellion of Pluto in Aquarius through literal death. Luigi Mangione, anybody? The moment I saw the news break about him, I knew. I was like, Pluto in Aquarius has officially begun. If you need a summary of the theme of Pluto and Aquarius, there you have it. And I think it's important to remain open to change and to realize that whatever is happening because of this transit is for our betterment as humans. But again, if you want to know more about using this transit in an empowering way and looking at it from an empowering perspective, stay tuned for my next video. Be sure and subscribe and hit the bell now so you don't miss it. Now let's talk about the Neptune-Saturn conjunction in Aries starting in May. As I stated earlier, both Neptune and Saturn are going to be moving into Aries unofficially in 2025, meaning they're going to move into Aries briefly before they retrograde back into Pisces for a bit and then officially station direct in Aries in 2026. However, while they move into Aries this year, they're going to form a conjunction around May. This is probably one of my favorite transits of this year. I am so excited about this energy. The fact that we have Neptune, the planet of dreams and the subconscious realm and visionaries, meeting in conjunction with Saturn, the planet of discipline and construct and doing things the right way and ambition. Having those two meet in Aries, which is the sign of innovation, fire, initiation, it's the sign that starts things. It's the self-starter energy. It is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the baby of the zodiac, meaning it takes the first step. And it doesn't care if it tumbles. It doesn't care if it has to fall. It doesn't care if it has to take the path less followed. It will do so if it means the fulfillment of their heart, the fulfillment of their vision, whatever that may be. And that's such a beautiful energy to also combine with the energy of Aquarius this year with Pluto in Aquarius. So it's all working together to make the most beautiful cocktail of astrological energies that mean we are no longer messing around and we're gonna make shit happen. Okay, I would definitely say that if I had to summarize the theme of this conjunction, it would be to balance dreams with practical action. Aries definitely fosters courage and taking the bold movement towards new beginnings, while Saturn provides the discipline and the maturity to actually take practical steps towards those bold new beginnings. Whereas Aries might tend to handle things a bit more messily and not really in the most rational way and can be a bit more impulsive. Saturn provides a bit of a structure, a bit more of a foundational energy for that fiery Aries movement to stem from, to build onto. Then we have Neptune, bringing in the dreamy energy of the deep ocean, the deep parts of our subconscious that we may negate, we may overlook, or we may try to hide, because a lot of times Neptune is the revealer, yet it is also the mist. So Neptune can be very foggy and misty and hard to navigate, mainly when we are not being honest with ourselves, mainly when we are scared to go into the fog and into the mist. But Neptune simultaneously dissolves boundaries, it dissolves walls, it melts them away, and it makes it hard to keep them up. So when it comes to the subconscious is basically the physical embodiment of Neptune energy. The subconscious can seem very difficult for us to navigate, but at the same time, it's one of the most honest parts of who we are. It is one of the most honest pieces of our lives, and it often functions whether we realize it or not. It often plays a role, a very obvious role, in the things that we do and the things that we say. But we are the ones who choose to reject it or to make it confusing and to make it hazy. And because of that, we often disconnect from it. So you're going to have Neptune here, adding its little subconscious 2 cents into the motivated, disciplined energy that Saturn and Aries are bringing into the picture. You're going to have this infusion of your deepest desires from Neptune. You are not going to be able to ignore them, and that's a good thing. This can definitely be a time where you're going to feel extremely heart-led, and that can be a bit scary because when you start being more heart-led and you start making active movements to fulfill your inner desire and to fulfill your heart, things are going to fall away. That's just the way it's going to be. It's like a law of nature. Things have to be removed and renewed in order to make room for what is truly supposed to be there. You look at wintertime, for example. Wintertime, nature is literally a visual of what I'm talking about. It resets itself and it starts clean to set a better foundation for what is to come. And that is what this energy will probably feel a bit like around this time. But they're going to be such a beautiful combination of energy to inspire you, to truly inspire you, not just from a surface level, not just because you see something that you think you want. No, you're going to be inspired from your deeper realms of your conscience because of Neptune. You're going to be so connected to your intuition and that subconscious realm that can be hard for us to access, that we can feel so disconnected from. And that is so exciting. Now, as beautiful as this energy is, there is, there's always something to be aware of. There's always things to watch out for. And again, it's not to cause you worry or anxiety. This is only to practice awareness. So if you feel this happening, you can go, I know what's happening, so it's not going to take control over me. One of the things that I would remain aware of, and if you see me looking down, I have my notes. So something to be aware of is to avoid overcommitting to idealistic ventures without structure. So when Neptune comes into the mix, Neptune is again connected to the dreamy subconscious energies. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. And one thing we all know about Pisces, a little bit of a stereotype, is that they can be in la la land. And the reason for that is because they choose delusion over reality. The goal is to take that delusion as inspiration and start channeling it into becoming reality. That is a productive way to use it, not using it to escape reality. With Neptune entering Aries too, we can kind of channel that dreamy energy into a sign that tends to be a bit impulsive sometimes or impatient. So you can maybe find yourself overcommitting to something that looks really good. You think it's so ideal. You built up this whole vision in your head of it, but it's not actually worth your time and your energy. And you're actually just getting caught up in the idea of something, and you're not taking the time to spell out practical ways to go about approaching it, or a more practical way to think about the situation that's not going to cause a disaster to happen. So my empowering tip for you when it comes to using this Neptune-Saturn conjunction in Aries to the best of your ability is to set clear goals and take disciplined steps to put those goals into action and to make them a reality. Next, we have the energy of Uranus in Gemini. Once again, Uranus will just be entering Gemini for a brief period of time before it retrogrades back into Taurus for a bit and then stations direct in Gemini again in 2026. However, we will start to see again the onset of this energy happening in 2025 100%. We're probably going to see a lot of revolutionary advancements when it comes to certain forms of technology. This is also coupled with Pluto moving into Aquarius, and what I talked about earlier with Aquarius being so connected to innovation, especially technological innovation, because of the rulership of Uranus. Uranus being the primary ruler of Aquarius. So when you have Uranus moving into Gemini, Gemini is another technologically oriented sign because it is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication, and Gemini is very much considered the key communicator of the zodiac. So we're going to see technological advancements when it comes to the communication space, especially in terms of AI. We have already seen is it Google Pixel? I think it's Google Pixel that has Gemini, which ironic. Is it ironic though? Do they know what they're doing? But anywho, Google Pixel, I believe, has started heavily advertising their new AI tool, Gemini. Even though that's on a very small scale, it's not like a super serious AI innovation, it is definitely a perfect example of what I'm talking about with Uranus moving into Gemini, and we'll see a lot of advancements, changes, and innovations when it comes to technological communications, especially using AI. Not only with communication, but with education as well. Likely that we'll see some type of changes within the educational space, the way that people learn, the way that people teach. We have already started to see this for a while with the growth and expansion of social media. A lot of people are not necessarily going to college or getting official certifications of any kind anymore, but we've kind of been walking in that gray area for a while now, and I think we're finally going to see ourselves move into a more finalized territory on how to receive education in this new world that is now forming, in this new society that is now forming. Education has been a terrible negative space for many years now, and it has kept going downhill seemingly with no redemption in sight. I think we're finally going to see it move into a more positive, productive space that is more focused on an individual level. When you look at musicians back in the day, they really had to be signed by a record label in order for anything to potentially happen for them, and that record label had to be the ones to market them the way that they wanted, etc. Now we have been moving into a space where much more artists are able to be independent and form their own audiences via social media and other platforms. We're going to kind of see the same thing happen when it comes to the education system, in my opinion. When Uranus is moving into the sign of communications, we're likely going to see some type of vocal rebellion happen too, whether it's going to be through certain activist movements, because we also have Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius is 100% the leader of activist movements in the zodiac. So the energy of Uranus moving into Gemini combined with Pluto in Aquarius is probably going to inspire a lot of verbalized action. There's going to be more people willing to speak up, more people willing to say something about the wrongdoings, about the injustice, about things that are not working, and taking it upon themselves to maybe form groups or form communities that are going to work against the grain together. Also, where, in my opinion, we're seeing more power return to the individual versus like celebrities and influencers. I'm sure you've been hearing about that if you're in the astrological space, but it's very true. I think the things that they say and do are going to start holding less weight on a collective level, and more power is naturally going to be given to the individuals, especially individuals who are speaking. Again, speaking and communication will be a huge theme this year and for the years to come. But individuals who are speaking their authentic voice, their authentic mind, and maybe even using that to educate others in some way, I think are going to start holding more weight. With all this being said, one of the things I would say to be aware of when it comes to this energy is to be aware of overloading yourself with information and potentially experiencing miscommunications or misinterpreting certain things, or maybe receiving information from bad sources or from the wrong people. It's going to be a time where you definitely need to use your discernment and practice your own discernment on what you believe and educating yourself. Take power back by educating yourself. And I actually talked about this in one of my recent videos, which you should definitely check out as well. It was just all about how to take your power back as a highly sensitive person. I think that will be an essential video to watch too when it comes to these transits that I'm talking about. Be wary of where you might lash out vocally too quickly, where you might be speaking ignorantly. Just be careful with your words. Choose your words wisely and remain flexible. When we have Gemini in the mix, we must remain flexible. If we don't, if we're not open to change, because Uranus is the planet of change, Gemini is a flexible, adaptable, quick-moving energy. And if we aren't willing to let this energy kind of flow through us or flow with it, we're probably going to get swept up by it. Be wary of impulsivity. Make sure you're properly planning things before you go through with something or before you speak on something, and remain flexible and open to change. Now let's talk about Jupiter moving into Cancer in 2025. I saved this one for last because in my opinion, it is one of the most beautiful, not necessarily peaceful transits. I don't want to say that, but it is a beautiful energy and such a positive energy. Not that the other ones aren't. Not that the other ones aren't, okay? But this one has the most, when I imagine it, I imagine you're like walking into the sunlight and you've been waiting for the sunlight for a while. This is going to be a transit that is like the sun shining on our skin and the wind kind of like slightly blowing through our hair, and the meadows are soft and lush in front of us as we walk out into the meadow. Anyways, that's what I imagine with Jupiter in Cancer. This is how my brain thinks about these things. Jupiter in Cancer is the only transit I'm talking about in this video where the planet is officially stationing direct inside of the new constellation. So Jupiter is officially staying in Cancer in 2025, and it's going to be happening around, I forgot the date. Hold on. Please hold. Around June 9th. First off, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, meaning that this enhances the strength of the planet here. It makes it an even more powerful transit. So when I think of Jupiter, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. We choose to expand ourselves in some way. It's how we go about reaching higher goals, higher visions, higher versions of ourselves, versions of our lives. And a lot of times that's through experience. Jupiter is a huge experience planet. It is the ruler of Sagittarius, to give you some perspective. but it wants to learn things through doing things, doing new things, experiencing life and adventures through education. Jupiter is a huge education energy. It wants to learn new knowledge and it wants to seek out new information, again, for the sake of expansion. And it's also a spiritual expander because a lot of times Jupiter is connected to visionary energies. Sagittarians can tend to be visionaries where they dream on a very huge level. And when you think of Jupiter, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. So it's this big energy. It wants to take up space. It wants to know everything there is to know. And oftentimes that comes with lofty goals and lofty visions. So a lot of spiritual enlightenment is usually found through the experiences and the knowledge that Sagittarians naturally seek because of the rulership of Jupiter in place. Now, when we think of Cancer, Cancer is the mother goddess of astrology. She is the emotions, the moon, literally the moon, the tides, the darkness, the depth. That is what I think of when I think of Cancer. She is heavily connected to the home, to the family, to community, to emotion, to internal well-being. We're going to have a lot of people experiencing deep internal, probably many spiritual breakthroughs when it comes to this transit. Because they're going to have these breakthroughs, it might lead us to overcome a lot of personal issues, maybe a lot of personal traumas we've been holding on to when it comes to personal relationships, especially with family and in the home. Cancer rules over childhood. It rules over our childhood traumas and our childhood shadows and our home life growing up, what we experienced growing up as a child and how it affected our emotional world. So this is going to be a transit that I feel a lot of people are going to respond to this energy by seeking out their spirituality. A lot of people will either experience a spiritual awakening, maybe something very emotional will happen that will cause them to have an epiphany, a breakthrough of some kind. And all of this is going to be directed towards emotional healing. We're going to have a lot of people working on healing their traumas, healing that wounded inner child with this energy. And that is so beautiful because one of the biggest problems we have on a collective level that causes us to be so erratic, so angry, so moody, so impatient, so consumed by the internet is because we have wounded inner children that we don't tend to. A lot of people stay emotionally unaware, emotionally unintelligent because they don't do the inner work. They don't dive into those shadows. This is going to be a transit that I think will really expose people to the work. And it is going to make them come out the other side into the sunlight. Like I said, going back to my little analogy at the beginning of this spiel, I mentioned that this transit makes me think of everybody walking out of a dark, cold tunnel and into the sunlight. You need to move through the dark, cold tunnel. You need to explore it. You need to learn it in order to navigate it and come out into the sunny meadow at the end of the tunnel. I think with the emotional growth and healing that's going to happen around this time, we're going to see a lot more open compassion towards others, or we're going to be encouraged to practice more open compassion towards other people and even practicing our motherly side. And this goes for everybody. This doesn't just go for women, but realizing that when you give, when you open yourself to love, when you open your heart and you open your mind to other people, that's how true healing happens and true communities form and true family is mended. I am hoping that this transit definitely encourages the energy for people to heal on a more personal level, to go through that awakening and to expand their spiritual practices, hone in on their spiritual practices and hone in on their emotional well-being and its importance, returning to things that nurture your soul, that nurture that inner child. Jupiter is going to want you to learn what that inner child needs, and that can cause you to expand even further into your best self. That is what's so exciting, is once you tend to the inner child, you can truly step into your most authentic, empowered, true self. And that is the most exciting part of all. Again, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell because I will be coming out with a follow-up video about how to best empower yourself with these transits in 2025. You're not going to want to miss that video because I know you want to level up in 2025 and you can use astrology to do it. But until I see you in the next video, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every last one of you, and I'm so excited to go into 2025 with all of you and any newcomers who may be here. I'll see you next time. Adios.